Hey guys, welcome to Concept of Science. Today we will learn the breathing mechanism in humans. These are the organs which are associated with breathing. We have epiglottis, larynx, trachea. This trachea is the windpipe which divides into two called bronchus. There are two lungs. Then we have bronchus. Bronchus divides into bronchiole and then bronchioles end up in alveoli. This is the pleural membrane which contain the pleural fluid. This helps in reducing the friction present between the ever expanding and contracting lungs and the outer muscles. Then we have ribs. These ribs help in the protection as well as in the change in the volume of the lungs. Then we have a diaphragm. This diaphragm helps in the reduction and increase of the area of the lungs through which we breathe. These are alveoli. These are the end mechanism in which the gaseous exchange takes place. If you see the anatomy of the lung, you can see in the picture here that there are millions of alveoli present in our lung. So what happens in alveoli is you breathe in air through the nasal cavity and trachea, that is the windpipe. This air enters the alveoli. This air which is coming from outside has more O2 and less CO2, and the blood has more CO2 and less O2. So what happens? There is exchange. CO2 comes out from the blood capillaries to the alveoli chamber, and O2 is taken in to the blood capillary through the process of diffusion. Now as we can see that once the blood is pured or exchange of gases occurred due to diffusion, how this oxygen will be transported to the cells? We have red blood cells. These have hemoglobin. This hemoglobin molecule combines with the oxygen and forms oxyhemoglobin. 97% of the oxygen is transported from the blood capillaries to the cells through this combination, oxyhemoglobin combination, and rest 3% of the oxygen moves through the dissolved state in plasma. In CO2 case, the cells have generated CO2. CO2 is coming out from the cell. So this CO2 combines with hemoglobin and forms carbinohemoglobin. 20 to 25% of the carbon dioxide is transported like that. Rest of the 70% carbon dioxide is transported as a bicarbonate dissolved in the blood. Rest 7% is transported as dissolved in the plasma. So this is how the gases are exported, and the blood helps in the transport of these molecules. Now there is a practical question coming from this. When you go up in the hilly area, there is less oxygen, so the hemoglobin present in your body or the red blood cell count present in your body is not sufficient to meet the body requirement, that is the requirement of the catabolism, energy releasing reaction. So what will happen? You will feel uneasy when you go uphill. The count of hemoglobin in your body will increase if you remain there for some time. If you come down, then again body will adapt and the hemoglobin count will come down, because that much hemoglobin is not required. That's why the people living in the hilly areas have more hemoglobin in their blood. As you can see from this image, we have inspired the air in the alveoli. This is the part of the lung. This is alveoli. These are the blood capillaries through which the exchange is happening. What happens in the alveoli? That O2 is taken in to the pulmonary vein. The capillaries are then again converging to form pulmonary vein. That pulmonary vein then goes to the heart, and that heart pumps the blood to the cells. The cell then release CO2 through the process of catabolism. This CO2 is taken to the heart through systemic veins, and from heart to the lungs through pulmonary artery. You go through these once and twice, and you will be able to understand the flow of pure and impure air in our body. Also, you can see our previous video in which I have explained about the flow of the blood in the heart. Then you will be able to correlate that video to this video. You have understood the exchange of gases. Due to differential partial pressure, there is air which is entering the lungs has more O2, so that is moving into the blood, and the air in the capillaries has more CO2, so that is entering into the air outside and it is exhaled. Now let us learn the regulation. If there is breathing, then there must be a central processor that is regulating this breathing process. In human case, it is the brain. Human beings have a significant ability to maintain and moderate respiratory rhythm to suit the demand of the body tissue. This is done by a neural system, means our brain. A specialized center present in the medulla region of the brain called respiratory rhythm center is primarily responsible for this regulation. It is present in the medulla oblongata. Suppose this is our brain. There is in the back side of the brain connecting the spine. There is medulla oblongata. Here it is present, and it helps the process of involuntary breathing. Another center present in the pons region of the brain called pneumotoxic center can moderate the function of the respiratory rhythm center. Neural signals from the center can reduce the neural inspiration and thereby alter respiratory rate. Signals can be fired in the brain which can speed up the breathing or reduce the breathing, and that signal will be depending upon the signal coming from the chemosensitive area which detects CO2 level or hydrogen ion concentration. So you have a very complex mechanism present in our brain. It automatically works. Now, disorder of respiratory system. We have asthma. It is a difficulty in breathing causing sneezing due to inflammation of bronchi and bronchiole. Emphysema. It is a chronic disorder in which the alveolar walls are damaged, due to which respiratory surface is decreased. One of the major causes of cigarette smoking. What happens that these are the walls of alveoli, these are damaged. So what will happen? The gaseous exchange will not happen. The main thing that happens in respiration is gaseous exchange. There are other types of respiratory disorders as well, which are called silicosis, in which prolonged exposure to the dust particle leads into the fibrous tissue development in the lungs, which then reduces the capacity of lung to expand and contract, which reduces the flexibility of the lungs, and hence we are not being able to breathe as we do normally. There is also one more thing I want to mention, that our nose has a nasal cavity where hairs are present. These are the protective mechanism which help in filtering out the air. When you are present in the heavy dust environment, what happens that the breathing protectors or the mechanism that filters air which is entering the lungs fails, and hence you get disorders like silicosis and so on. If you go through this with keeping in mind all the broad outlines, you will be able to understand this topic very easily. Whether you know science or not, whether you have studied science or not, it doesn't matter. Just watch this video and go through the basic concepts once or twice. Just understand why breathing happens. Breathing happens because our body requires oxygen to produce energy. The oxygen is required at this cellular level. How to transport oxygen from which is present outside the atmosphere to the cells? We have a mechanism of breathing in which through nose air enters. It enters our lungs, where it is exchanged between the blood capillaries and alveolar wall. When it is exchanged, it is moved to the heart. Heart then pumps the pure blood to the cells, and all this pure blood is carried through arteries. The impure bloods are carried through veins. The impure bloods are carried from the cells to the lungs, and it is exchanged there. The impure blood is carried from the cells to the heart, and then heart to the lungs, where it is exchanged and CO2 is released into the atmosphere. So hope you understand this phenomena. It is a very core principles of life. It helps in human being survival. So you must understand what is breathing, because you cannot survive without breathing. So and if you learn this way, you will be able to answer simple questions that are asked. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.